Welcome back to That Time When. This is the podcast series on Trek Zone, where we take you through our archive, bringing you stuff that you might have missed or might not have seen yet. Today we're continuing that look back through the Talkin' Trek series in 2019. Lee Sargent beamed in regularly across that year to discuss all that the franchise had to give us. On this edition, we're looking back at short treks. Lee, thanks for coming back.
I'm very happy to be here.
Now, it's a special edition today. We're talking short treks, which, of course, wrapped up last month. We had 4 episodes to tie us over from Discovery Season 1 to Season 2. Overall, on these 4 short treks, what are you thinking? I
think it's a massive mixed bag because I'm really conflicted by almost all 4 of them at some point or the other. If you had to press me, I'd say that I enjoyed them. I enjoyed them, but with reservations. I like the general concept of supplementary material. We'll have to see where they go.
It certainly is an interesting one, and you could almost argue that they're 4 pilots of things that could have been for the series, and also a way of expanding out the lore of the Discovery era. This 10 years before Kirk, supposedly. Things like Calypso, where we're centuries in advance and we're discovering little tidbits about what happens while watching Betty Boop cartoons.
You know what? This thing is, so mentioning Calypso, so jumping straight into Calypso. Calypso's a great episode. Is it a great Star Trek episode? I don't know if I'm convinced on that fact. Could that have been almost any other science fiction show? Probably. Like the Star Trek element to that show really didn't mean anything. And we're not, so apart from the fact that we're saying that the Discovery survives for centuries but is lost in a nebula at some stage, we're kind of dipping into Babylon 5 territory, where playing the very, very long game, or whether or not it was just generally a good, just a neat little story. Wouldn't it be cool if someone find the descendants of humanity find the Discovery at some point in a long time in the future, which is kind of and that's a neat story. Cool. What's that about? But the problem with it is that you've now entered that into the lore of the show, the lore of the series, and so what does that actually mean? And this concept of at what stage are we, according to the time travelers in Enterprise, like is this Daniels period, or is this after Daniels? The Federation's fallen. Well, that's positive. Little things like that where it's like, oh, okay, so good, we revert back in centuries and centuries, all the exploration, all of the struggle and all of the good work done by the Federation falls to pieces or something. But it's like, if you take it out of context of Star Trek, it's like this really fun short film. But if you put it smack bang in the middle of the mess that is kind of continuity and canon and whatever, you kind of go, whoa, what? What is this?
Let's jump back one episode to where the series started, Runaway. Mary Wiseman leads this short trek, and this is really cool to expand this character and another one of those characters, and we'll talk about Discovery as a whole a little later on in this miniseries. But this whole idea of having the original idea of Discovery wasn't to focus on the bridge, and it was to focus on these other people. So here we finally have that realization of someone that is nowhere near the senior staff. She was a cadet. It's this short trek now takes place just after the end of season 1, where she becomes an ensign. So she's starting out on this journey, and she's confronted by an alien stowaway that's a little bit larger than life, if you will.
I think with this particular episode, you need to take your nitpicker hat off to enjoy it, because if you go into this looking at it with any, and I say the loosest nitpicking, like it is not. This is not a hard episode to nitpick, but it is a hard episode not to like. So this is the conundrum that is the short treks for me, is that if you told me that season 2 of Discovery was going to abandon everything that they've done and we're going to focus on following Tilly as the main character, and her rise through ranks in the Discovery and whatever, I would be like, yep, I'm on board 100%. Don't even care. Keep the costumes. I don't give a shit. make the Klingons look however you want. I don't care. This is a great idea because she's very likable, and the idea of following an ensign is really interesting to me. Because she is hope, and she's kind of the embodiment of what everyone keeps screaming about. The values of Star Trek. I think she is that embodiment of that. So I actually, spending 15 minutes with her is great. There is the downside, though, as I say, of I don't know who's kind of, it's not fact checking, but I don't know who's editing these as far as editing the scripts when they come in, and actually sitting down and going, well, this is almost a court-martial offence. Aiding and abetting a stowaway of any regal stature is not a good idea. Bypassing security breaches, doing security breaches, stuff like that. Like you get in trouble at work if you don't change your password every 3 months.
Yes.
She's got an actual stowaway. And I don't care that it's that she's a kid and she identifies with her or whatever. She didn't know that, and so this is where the problems arise. Where you could a good writer or a good editor or a good lead writer, I guess, should be able to sit down and go, "This is a really great kernel of an idea. How do we make it work?" Like, what caveats do we have to give to make this work? And I think destroying a rec room is probably, it's fun to watch, sure, but if you put in context of a ship and a show, that's really, when did this happen? Is it Captain Pike? Is it on the way from after? Obviously she's an ensign, so is it on the shift that Saru was kind of acting captain, so he doesn't give a shit? It's like, so someone's reporting to Saru and saying, I think one of our ensigns has let someone on board and done shenanigans, and Saru's gone, I don't give a shit, it's the next guy's problem. I don't feel anything tingling, so screw it, I don't care. This is not my problem come Monday.
Funnily enough, Lee had plenty to say about Short Treks. That was a 2-part podcast. The first part is available by clicking the link in the card here on YouTube. Or if you're listening to me on a podcast, well, jump on to TrekZone.org. Scroll down to the That Time When section and click on Short Treks. That'll take you over to the official watch page, which has the link to that full podcast from a couple of years ago. Here on YouTube, if this is your first time here, and you see a red subscribe button, give it a tap, make it say subscribed, ring the bell as well to get notifications of when we release new episodes every day. And if you like this content, like the video as well, do that for me. And if you're on podcasts, subscribe to the feed, get our latest eps downloaded straight to your device. That'd be really, really handy. But for now, and as always, I'm Matt Beller for TrekZone.
Keep up to date with Twitter. Catch new podcasts daily on YouTube. Plus, we're beaming to your favorite podcast app 5 days a week. Just search for TrekZone and subscribe.